Next topic that we need to discuss is actually an album from a legend in a dancehall. He had an album out last year as well, and I particularly was happy to see him putting out another album. I'm happy to see this artist working. There was a period he was not. I don't know why. He might have been going through some personal stuff. We know of some of the personal issues. He has spoken on some of them. But this artist was a 90s bright light in a dancehall.
Yeah.
And was kind of like he came out of nowhere at the time. We're talking about the legend, Spragga Benz. Right?
Spragga Benz Jeep.
Carlton Grant. Big artist. At one point was even very big here for those who don't know.
Definitely.
He had a following here in the New York and tri-state area, in California as well. The album is called The Journey, right? Chosen.
The Journey Chosen.
Yeah. That was the name, right?
Definitely.
The Chosen.
No, huh? The Journey Chosen. The Journey Chosen.
Okay, yeah, The Journey Chosen. And it's on his own imprint, Red Square. 11 tracks. I start with Shane this time. Shane, what do you think about this album? 11 tracks. It slap or what?
Yeah, me love the album. Actually, it slap harder than me expect actually.
Why is that?
Because like for some time, Spragga Benz was one of the artists who, what would I say? For lack of a better word, disgruntled in the sense that like the new artists coming up now, the younger artists, they're always bashing what they're doing. And, like on a mission to bring music back to the 90s era. You know what I mean? And personally, I don't agree with that way of thinking. You know what I mean? So I thought I was just going to get back Spragga Benz trying to be back in his glory days, 90s dancehall kind of vibe, right? Which is not necessarily what came out of it, which I'm happy about. It's still, moving forward, still evolving. You get what I'm saying? So because of, his arguments on said subject, I didn't know what to expect, right? With this new album coming out, right? But definitely, it was well put together. The first song threw me off as far as the sound coming into, beginning the album. But as it goes on, I was very pleased, going from track to track. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? He has some nice collaborations on there too.
I think that helped the album.
Right? Conscience, Cranium, Jazeel, and I enjoyed all of them. Right? So it was a good album for me.
Kimani as well.
Yeah, Kimani. I love that track too.
Cranium,
yeah. So it was a great sound because when I listen to albums, for me it's the sound, how I feel about the music, not just saying okay, it's an album from one of my favorite artists, but how does it sound to me? How does it make me feel? You know what I'm saying? And it was a real nice flow. You know what I'm saying? Sonically very well put together.
Okay.
All right, so Randy.
Yeah. My take for this album, I'm just gonna say, mixed feelings. I'm not gonna necessarily bash Spragga. I didn't listen to the one last year, Chiliagan. I haven't heard it, but I didn't hear anything good about it. Right?
Yeah.
This album just came out yesterday?
Yes.
28th?
Right?
Yes. Right. And September 28th, 2020 it came out. And yeah, I must say I've listened to this over and over today. Initially, my initial feeling was we never really feel it. And this again, people, I'm gonna tell you what people need to do, because I realize there's a trend when we listen certain albums from
Legend.
from certain devices. Well, I know from certain devices. I think the best place to listen to stuff like this is in your car, loud, because there's something lost sometimes when you're listening to your little Bluetooth speaker, or when you're listening to it on your phone. They say maybe having your earbuds or whatever, you get a better experience listening to it. Because you can hear everything clearer and loud and everything. All right. So like me say, mixed feelings. The starting of the album, Guide My Life, felt like a prayer. I understand why he did it. Because this entire album to me feel like a release to me, like him actually finally a release from the feeling where that put him on hiatus for the last, I guess, 10, 11 years.
15.
15? That's so much?
I mean, not saying he's done albums, but it's a while since he's been consistently making music.
Yeah, but when him son passed, I think it started to go down this track when him son passed away, you know? It feel like that to me. So my expectations of Spragga, because let me say this again, people. I used to be like the fly on the wall when Spragga used to be performing in a studios in Brooklyn, like Dan One Studio and them studio there. And if I tell you the honest truth, he's one of the few artists that I knew that came to that studio and perform one take, no mistake, no stop and cut and punch me back in. You understand? I'm used to hear a whole heap of artists, top artists, a whole heap of them have to get punched in time and time again. When Spragga performed, it was a one take thing, no mistake, nothing. If you don't understand what I mean.
Yeah.
So for me always have high expectation of Spragga. Him notable tune them, most of them tune them is almost like, so it's like iconic. When you say Spragga,
yes.
It's like
he must sham have some iconic tune.
Yes.
Timeless.
Right. So for me, I don't want it to seem like the artist don't want to try come back up. I understand that. On some of these tracks, it came off to me like him did a struggle. For it, like him voice never right. Like him flow, you know, like how say for instance, my father kind of have a sing vibes and it's flow and popcorn.
Felt like to me he was doing that on purpose.
Like he was trying to sound raw on purpose.
I thought he was trying to sound like like he just got out, like he recorded it just out of bed, like he just woke up. I felt like a couple records were like that. For me, I felt like he did it to try to create an emotion. Or a certain feeling.
Definitely me feel the emotion, but before me even go deeper into it, Oliver, I want to hear your take on it, because honestly, like me say, overall my feelings are mixed. There's some tracks I like, and there's some tracks I don't like. And there's some tracks I felt like the accompaniment of another artist that was actually singing or something of the sort kind of brought it off perfectly, make it sound much better. You see me? So like for me, I don't know if it was intentional. You see me? But yeah, go ahead. Let me know what you feel about it.
So for me, whenever we speak on legends, it's hard to speak on their reviews on music without touching into their previous works or what they meant to you. For me, Spragga was like a versatile artist. If there was Beanie and Bunty and Buju, to me, I always felt like Spragga was in a box to himself. And that was very hard in the 90s. You're going to have Beanie. When you say Beanie, you say Bunty. When you say Buju, you probably even say Terra Fabulous to those who don't know. You bring up artists. for me, when it says Spragga, I've always felt like it's just Spragga. Because what he brought, I always felt was different. Very versatile wordplay, lyrical, clarity. And it, for me, was the first, and I mean this, the first dancehall artist for me that flowed effortlessly on hip hop beats. Some people might give that to Bunty, because Bunty was another one. But for me, it was Spragga. I used to hear him on hip hop beats prior to Vibes Cartel or the others and go, yo, the way he's like dealing with the beat, impressive. So I always have high regards for him. His albums are when I went to school. I used to play those daily back in the day. You remember the tune that said, "Bad man, we no run away." Remember them tune, that album? So it had a lot of hits. Spragga had a lot of hits.
Boy, I show your age for now and brother.
I never tell you which school.
Yo, but trust me. But trust me still. Yeah, you never say which school, but yo, but yo, trust me, he had a lot of hits and a lot of hits where even Americans at the time them would have sing them.
Star.
Yeah, even
Today
hip-hop,
was a good day.
Yeah, of course, even hip hop artists sing them. You know?
Yes, they did. Yeah, and he had a crossover appeal. The ladies love Spragga. A1 lover, they love him. Trust me. I don't think I've ever dated a Caribbean girl that didn't think Spragga was our baby father. And I'd be like, yo, stop it, yo. Anyway.
Even to this day.
To this day, right. So forward to know this project. I was happy to see the project. And I'll tell you why. Because I know he put out the Chillagan last year. I particularly, it was okay. I didn't, but we're not talking about that. I like that he put out another album again in successive years. It showed me he's working again and committed to building his brand. I think more artists have to get to that place in dancehall where we're putting out albums. We've said this before. Put out the single, even if it doesn't, sometimes it might seem like you're not making any money, but you're building your brand. Keep building ownership, because this is on his label. It's almost like putting out an album nowadays need to be like your job as an artist. Every year put out one album as a reggae artist just to get your brand going and get people used to you. Because I think that's where we fall victim and behind to hip-hop artists. They keep putting out mixtape, keep putting out albums. There are artists in dancehall that's bigger than hip-hop artists right now. But at some point, that hip-hop artist is going to overtake our artists. Why? Because they keep working, and they do have a bigger market. Yes. Now, my review of the album, like Shane, it started out, I heard the first track, and I was like, seem like the whole pratic. I don't know how me feel about it. And I mean, the people then probably, of course, say that you they are one demon or something, you know. But look, I feel like it's been overdone. So that threw me off. There's only certain, like, you see, if this Caperton can do that for me, right? But when I heard it, I was like, okay, sounds like some old culture tune. And the rest of the album after that, for me, slapped. I liked it. Are these going to be songs playing all over the radio? Is he going to reclaim his 90s fame from it? Probably not. But for his die-hard fans, I thought the album was good. I still think he will get out some new fans. I could listen to the album. The track where he's talking about my lady, I like that track. There's not much tracks I don't like. The last song he's speaking about his son, the demise of his son and his spirit being around. That song connected to for me.
All right, so
go ahead.
Let's since we're each we are going on the track, then we could just start go through the track.
Yes, true. Yes.
The first track is called "Guide My Life." Why you feeling upon it? Just around the room.
For me, it wasn't a good way to start the album personally, because the first track kind of have me like, you know, I think for me, listening to an album, I like when it builds up. You know what I mean? Like you're coming in, you know, on the first track and, you know, kind of level in a sense, and then it builds up, and then, you know, goes out smoothly, right? For me, it started kind of up in the air. I didn't know what to expect next. I didn't know what to expect for the rest of the album and all of that, you know. So for me, it was a little bit, I think for me, the placement wasn't the best, you know, but not my favorite song on the album. But for me, it was you know, it was a surprise. Like, okay, that's how I felt about the first track.
The first track, I told you, for me, it's not my best track on the album. Not even, I rather probably all other tracks except this one. It's not a bad track. Shane say like momentum and flow and gradual. I sometimes want to see, I like differences. Catch me off my toe. Almost all the albums are started this way.
Yeah.
Especially from 90s era. Buju album started this way. So if I can just think so, you know, Dreams and Nightmares from Meek. To me, that's one of the best intros I've ever heard in my life across all genres. And that's a very hype record that grew in momentum.
Yeah, because,
right?
That's his energy.
Sometimes I just want to see something different. I want from the onset, just grab me, right? Like a book. Grab me out. Don't hesitate. Don't play safe. And that's what I feel. They're just safe records when they start out like this. Let me play the old prior leading up to, it's a culture thing. Okay, can still do a culture thing, but bring a little bit more energy sometime. Switch it up sometime. That's all for me.
So to the people that I feel say, yo, since I saw the feel, we want to go to an artist then.
I'm not an artist. I am who I am.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Since I saw the feel, we want to go to an artist. Yeah, a lot of people are still like that, you know. But all right, we're not to shy away from where you are Shana said. See, Shana.
You sound like some troll, yo.
Why don't you tell us a ton artist?
No, but yeah, people are going to say that.
I'll come off for the sofa.
You know not about music.
So here my feel. I feel the same way you guys just expressed. But I understand why, in a sense, I kind of feel like I understand why this would be a good way for him start the album. Because even the way him finish the album, which we're gonna get into later.
I think the ending was, Yeah,
we're gonna get into later. This to me, Guide My Life, is almost like a prayer to me. Right?
Right.
And it almost like him a repent. And it almost like a whole heap of things good and bad he might talk about, you know. So honestly, like me say, just like how me never like the start for Buju album, me never like this neither. Like me say, it was throwaway, but at the same time, me understand say the artist has been through a lot, has lost someone near and dear to him. His son actually. You see me, and for a parent lose them kid before them even pass. I mean, that is quite tragic, and it appears that he was extremely close to his son. You see me? So I didn't even know it. These things we don't know. Sometimes we don't. We try to separate the music or the art from people's personal life, but in this sense, it's very difficult to do that. You see me? And that's why sometimes when we critique, you know, we say some things and it might sound insensitive and it might sound like, yo, we're not even look on the facts. Like for instance, in Buju case, him just recently come out of jail for 10 years and him a try to get back on him feet, and I guess maybe should I give him a pass because him a try, you know? At least him a give him more than some of the people them that were out here.
Well, been here, yeah.
Right.
That's true.
Right. So, on that side of things, people, but understand because more than one change a artist's mind or feeling towards the craft and how him feel, because I am not a recording artist myself. You see me? And more and more want to encourage people so them can put out them best. You get me? But guide my life, the prayer, people, you know what did I
What you say about to people who said, what's the problem with you guys are 90s artists? It seems like you guys are
no problem with 90s.
All right, so watch this now. So watch this now. Listen to the rest of the review as we go through the review. Because and also make sure you pay attention to the artist himself. And go listen him album. The album named The Journey Chosen, right? Pay attention to that. And yes, we will go on from there. Support the artist and we'll go on from there.
I mean, say what they want to say, but I think that's where we differ from others. We're supporting all the music. We're reviewing it. We're listening to it several times. We want you guys to listen to it. So there's no personal vendetta here, because we're actually reviewing it.
You're mute.
You're mute.
Yeah. Oh, sorry about that.
Yo.
Yeah. Sorry about that. That's the reason why I try to forward them for go listen to music, because if them listening now, them are gonna understand the reason why we say what we've been saying. Mm-hmm. You know, it connect with y'all more if y'all listen to what we're saying and go and patronize the artist or stream the artist in some form. It will connect. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah. At any rate, Noah Oliver leads still, but you don't know the whole of our freestyle. The next track is called The Badness, featuring Conscience. Oliver, your feelings on the next track?
Very short song. I think both artists are similar. I wouldn't be surprised if Conscience, Spragga was an influence of his. I always felt like the styles were similar even before this track. So I felt their styles mesh well together. It's a good record. It's a decent record. Will it be played all over the radio? Probably not, but that's not the point. I like the record. I like Conscience flow on it as well. Good record. And Spragga actually sound to me reminiscent of his old self. The way he handled that record.
Shane?
Yeah, this track for me was, I like the track. The Conscience collab was, Conscience wasn't being typical Conscience in my opinion. Because even the hook, it's reminiscent of the same typical Conscience flow that we've been getting a lot of. Like, sit down, the badness. Adi, you know what I mean? So for me,
Conscience stuck?
I don't know if I'd say stuck, but to me that was a typical Conscience verse. Okay. You get what I'm saying? But overall a good track. It was a good collab. The chemistry between the two artists sonically was, it came together well.
Yeah, this track for me wasn't honestly, it's almost like my mute Conscience. It wasn't about Conscience here. The badness, but I think it also helped Spragga. You understand? Because, all right, so this, I wanted the track them will give me a feel like the first track, like the second track really, it gave me the feeling like 90s dancehall.
It does.
Spragga actually sound confident on this track. Him sound like him comfortably, it sound like him in an element. It's like a rhythm where I'm used to,
Yes, so I felt the same.
So yeah, so me did feel real good, but like me say, it's a 90s vibes. How many people are going to say, yeah, me like it. It's a 90s vibes. Let's work with it. You know what I'm saying? How many people are going to say that? You understand? Because some people might feel like, I'm tired of this 90s thing. But people, what do you feel about it? We went around the room, and did you mention how you felt about it, Broster?
Yeah, I did. I feel like there's enough space in a dance style for different styles. And we don't need to chop it up and say 90s are current artists are trap. There's space for all of them. And I like to hear a little 90s vibes now and then.
Right.
That's the way they flowed. So
right, but it's like a throwback to the past, and he did it so prolific, and I was actually happy about that.
Yes, I like it.
And I mean, don't have any issues with 90s dancehall, 90s era music. My only issue is how they
bash,
kind of try to force this on everybody else, or the younger generation who doesn't know anything about 90s dancehall.
Right.
Per se. You know what I mean?
Right.
But definitely, it was a decent track that that represents, who we remember the Spragga Benz to be in his prime.
Definitely. All right, track number 3, Wife to Be, Feelings.
Wife to Be, decent, semi-romantic kind of vibe. That was a nice switch as well of the flow and the energy, for me. So that was a nice placement for that track to be an, sensitive track. Definitely one of my favorite ones on it.
So for me though, that and the next track, The Lady, were put well together. To me, it sounds like Spragga is in love. I might be wrong, but sound like he's speaking to someone very specific. Seem like it's a woman that's probably been down with him for a long time. So I could be wrong, but that's what I got. That's the message I got for those records. It's a nice track for the ladies. It's not really dancehall. I guess that's more his culture side. Just him singing. I like those records. I like both records, especially The Lady. I could listen to that over and over.
Yeah, My Lady.
My Lady.
Wife to Be, My Lady. Okay, so that is track 3 and track 4. My Feelings, like I said, I don't know if it was the medium through which I was listening to it. It just came off as just okay to me, right? And like I said, I have really high expectations of Spragga Benz, right? Me and him parent or family or anything, so I guess the expectation may not be warranted. But as a fan for over maybe 30 years,
yo,
that man, you're old, yo.
Yo, as a fan,
you're 55.
Yo. Look, I mean,
big man.
Hey, remember say we are listening reggae and dancehall from we go basic school, or what they would call kindergarten, so.
Yo.
See me?
Man, try to clean it up.
Yeah, but
it's 33.
Man, say my fan 30 years. Spragga, I haven't been doing it.
Yo, Oliver, all right, me can tell you this and can prove it too. Yo, me
but Spragga is probably.
Me I go dance from me at 5 years old, bro.
Yo.
Wow.
Yeah,
where are the parents?
me I go dance with big sound from me at 5 years old.
But at different times still. So you're right, yeah. I mean, if I told people some places I used to go around those
because
places, they would be like,
if dancing that keep like cross the road, or you know what I mean, our pops probably up on the jugglings.
Yo, all right, but that's what me I try to tell you is one team cross the road. My father had a sound system, and them sound system used to travel all over the Caribbean, right? Notably, them used to play at Trinidad Holy. You see me? So
where them used to play?
The Savannah. The Savannah, them used to play with an
soca them that play?
No man. I reggae them time they are on the thing, man. Them used to play in the Savannah. Them used to play next with that sound name Maximilian in a Trinidad. I don't know if them still exist. You see me? I know the lady and I know her two sons them. You know what I'm saying? They used to come to Jamaica to visit and they used to stay at our house. You know what I'm saying? My father of course know them. But anyway, that is enough of that. We don't want to go there. That I really want
turn up, yo.
But the point is, what may I say? My expectation of the artist, people don't feel no way. The artist when an artist a legend, an artist a legend. You can't take that away from him. Me only I say, based off of his prior works, it's almost like me a measure it up to even the minuscule, the least of what he has done prior, maybe, right? And I mean, some of them maybe the medium that I was listening to it just never come off as great. It was just okay. So I was able to listen to the album multiple times, right? I am not sure if someone that's not familiar with the genre
would want
to listen to it multiple times.
I get that.
And that is my issue with it. We mentioned we are up to track 5 now, and track 5 it's called J, featuring Kimani Marley. And Oliver can start off and tell me what J mean.
What J mean?
You don't know?
I don't remember.
What do you mean?
You really don't remember? So it's basically must say J-A, like Jamaica.
Oh yeah, right. This is the Jamaica track.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, J-A. This was good. Actually, Kimani was a nice touch. They've worked together before.
Yep.
Also in the movie Shatters.
Yeah, so it's like a Shatters collab.
Yeah, he mentioned a few things about Shatters as well, as as far as his time.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that.
Kimani sounded like Dre Island, or Dre Island sounded like Kimani, one of the two, but it was very similar. I liked it. It's a good track. Nice little flow. I felt like this album, he was trying to speak to things that are important to him in his life. So it go back to what you said, Randy. He started out with God and guiding him. In touch on the woman in his life or someone he's in love with.
Yeah.
Then he move on to Jamaica.
Yeah.
Then he move on further to the streets and then to his son. So I felt like this album was a real outpouring of him and who he is and where he is right now. So when he said the journey I guess it's really the journey of himself.
Yeah.
And where he sees himself.
And probably the journey where he choose as well. Because in on the album, like you see the trajectory. And at one point, from a baby coming up, and at one point, it's like a bad man in the streets kind of vibe, and then he's on stage, and then ultimately at the end, I guess that's just his ascension to being the lion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's a transcendence kind of journey, in my opinion.
So you feel Randy about this record?
But I actually love it. The what I love about it is just the whole storytelling vibe in it. And different.
Spragga a good storyteller.
Exactly. And different from what we used to with and many other, not only Jamaican artists, but even a lot of international artists, hip-hop artists, whatever artists. Some of them not tell a lot of stories. And I think that is almost like a forgotten art. It's only like
it's missing, yes.
Yeah, it's only certain key people do these things. And when them do it and it's done well.
And the funny thing is, the biggest artists right now, if you count 10 big top artists from the top of your head, these are notably the ones that who do tell a lot of stories in the music. A lot of stories.
Yeah. And of course, what made this even better was the Kimani singing complimented him here. So again, we'll go back to this. You can probably find the songs then when I point out when I think it's really done well. Is the one, it's not that me I try to get Spragga off the sound and not like himself, I just feel like because of where the music is today, like you're somehow have to harmonize or make your thing sound more smooth. Just like, all right, for instance,
melodies.
You need more melodies, yeah.
Yeah. So let me show you, like exactly like I feel like Buju sound rough around the edges. Like him need to smooth out him thing. Him sound a little bit too rough for the international.
Like it worked back then, but now it's like we're in a different
era. Even the
It's like
rappers have
different
had to
ears.
conform.
Right. Right.
Even hip hop conform.
Right.
Even the older rappers now, they can't. Like Jay-Z he don't really rap like he used to rap anymore. Flow changed a little bit.
But before I forget, another problem I have with this album is I felt like it was underproduced. I feel like it could have been more produced, more production on the album, like more things worked on, more kinks worked out. You see me?
I see what you said. More
Yeah.
things added in the music here.
Yeah. And then even with Spragga Benz, I know he did a lot of writing on this album because I'd seen that and at the ending of each track that he him and I'm forget the next name.
Lamar.
No, wait, yeah, Lamar, yes, exactly. Lamar Reynolds. I saw that name a lot. So it feels underproduced because I feel notably some of the word choices could have been different. And for me, if the effort was just put into changing that specific, like certain specific words, it would have totally slapped for me, right? Obviously, again, Spragga Benz is very lyrical. It is reflected here, right? But the issue again is if you're not from Jamaica, he is saying so much, you're not gonna connect with it. And me connect with it because I'm listening it over and over again, exactly forget exactly what I say and how I try to say it. But then it's like he's saying a lot. You know? Track number 6, Streets, featuring Cranium. Feelings.
I love that track. That Cranium put a touch on it that, you know, to me was just, it's very nice to listen to. You know what I'm saying? And it's, even though it's talking about the streets, it's like it's like a love affair with the streets in a sense. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think
Oliver.
Cranium had a smooth, modern vibe to the record. And I think right now, Cranium has a huge following. People might not notice, but he's getting a lot of views out there. And I think he's crossed over to some degree with a certain demographic here. I think he's doing it well. His smooth flow is helping him. And I think that complemented Spragga. And I actually would like to see more of the artists from the 90s try. If they themselves cannot create this sound, they should bring in someone to, because then it actually sounds good.
Exactly.
You know?
No, actually I get on to what me I try insinuate, that I want me I try infer, imply or whatever. But
I would like to see Buju do something like that.
Definitely. And unlike Buju, Spragga chose people that he was familiar with, and they brought the whole thing together. Like for instance, we're not gonna skip, but one of the tracks that we're gonna talk about a little bit further on had Wayne
Wonder. And they've worked well before in the past.
And I'm wondering why Buju didn't work with Wayne Wonder.
I mean, this isn't about Buju, but we said this before. We asked the same question when we did, right?
Yeah.
Spragga worked with him.
Why wasn't Wayne
Spragga
Wonder?
worked with him, and
why wasn't Jazeel? Right? So I'll give Spragga kudos for that.
Definitely.
Because it tells me he's very loyal and in tune with his fan base and what people would want to hear.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He didn't switch up, so to speak.
Right. So Streets featuring Cranium.
I'm surprised there was no Salam Remy though, because he works with Salam a lot.
True.
But
the only thing missing from this album, well, not missing, because of course it seems like it's kind of reflective of his meditation and his vibe and his mindset right now, right? But you know, of course, Spragga Benz are the ladies them artists, so the ladies them probably don't want to look a skin out tune for it to break out.
That's why I'm saying I think he's probably in a serious relationship, because the female records, that's what they were. There was no cockito, jockey, none of them things. A big man thing now. Like some romance thing and some.
No, y'all.
You see it. I want to feel about track number 7, At My Door, featuring Jaziel Myrie.
That's one of my favorite on the album. Actually, I'm very impressed with Jaziel. I'm not sure if it's Spragga. They seem very close just from even before on Instagram.
Yeah.
It seems like Spragga is bringing him under his wings. I like that because it's not the first time I've seen them working together or he's, supporting the artist. I don't want to get into family business, but I really appreciate this record. And it shows me that the kid has talent. I was a little concerned about that because he comes off very timid and almost as if he hasn't found his voice yet.
Right.
Hopefully he can get some confidence. I see a lack of confidence in him personally. He needs some more experience, maybe get some more girl under and belt to make him feel, and I think because he seems like he's holding back to me.
Yeah, I feel
and he's not his father, and I don't think he should try to be his father. And it doesn't seem like he's trying to be. I think he should stay in his pocket. He seems like a very genuine, nice person. And it comes out in the music.
Definitely.
So I like the record. I would like to see him get some more support and do some more individual records.
Shane.
I mean, I've heard other records I like from him. But,
Yeah, man, I like this track. Because when I heard it, I was, I had to look to see who this was. Because it sounded new.
Who is this? Who's Jaziel's father? For those who don't know.
Mark Myrie.
Who's Mark Myrie, yo?
Bojo Bantan.
All right.
Yeah. So for me, it was a refreshing, reggae sound that he brought to the track.
Smooth.
Because I heard, I was like, yo, who this? And, when I checked, I was like, yo, this sound new, fresh, you know what I mean? Really, a really nice track. And very strategically placed, in my opinion, as well. Because after the flow that the J and Streets brought, it flowed nicely for me into that one.
I'm waiting for what Randy has to say about this. He's
about
itching
this.
Yeah.
Well, this is I guess that's the number 1 track off of the album for me.
Wow.
The reason why my number 1.
I wasn't.
Me gonna tell you why. So the beat, the track itself, it reminds me of Police in Helicopter, a search for marijuana. That track with
John Wall?
Yeah. It reminds me of that if you're listening, you realize this is it. And it does what they added to the track just show a different way of thinking. Because everything now has to be singing reggae. Singing rubber dub. But how they dealt with it, Spragga and Jaziel Myrie, I really like this one. Really like this one, and maybe because I connect with it because of the Police in Helicopter kind of beat. You see me, and they don't really see it much. Well, they're starting to do it now. This just give me a connection to the past, even further than like maybe even 90s dancehall. And it's only a few artists that are doing it now. The real one, them, in my opinion, the real one, them real to the genre of reggae and dancehall, and them are do it. Outside of that, someone just had to trap. I don't speed anything that. I mean, not them to, but I connect with this.
Okay.
You dig? Next track, named Non-Stop Praises. Track number 8. Either one of you guys freestyle and flow and let me know.
Non-Stop Praises.
Yeah.
It's a, I guess, just a sentiment to the first track, which is in a sense, I wouldn't say prior related necessarily, but just, I guess, showing gratitude. You know what I mean? And just shedding light on how important that is. Something more of a like Rastafarian kind of,
vibe.
Yeah, not necessarily Christian side of it, but more
No, this
You know,
definitely delivered. The
Haile
fact that,
Selassie, yeah, kind of.
yeah,
You know?
This was a good one.
it definitely,
Placement for me was good.
Yeah.
go ahead, Oliver.
I thought the placement was good. I think towards the end of the album, he was starting to wind it down. So I liked it there. I like this record.
All right. Opposite of what you guys have to say. I understand why this record. I understand, basically to show him, I guess him Rastafari and theater, I say my Rasta. You see me, even though we know say my bad boy Rasta. You see me? But watch this now. But not gonna lie, the lyrics in the song, solid, really good lyrics in the song. This song, non-stop phrases. But I struggled with how it was delivered. This is one of the tracks that I feel like could have done well with more production. Would have done well with maybe them try work on some of them wordplay and even voice it sound in a delivering like the ending of some of it. I really struggled with that. I'm like, that kind of struggle there. Like, why Spragga, why you never work on that song, man? Why it almost felt rushed to me. Again, if the memory serves correct, I can think back. Want to tell me if my half base here, but it just felt like that to me. Like, but I struggle with how it was delivered. You dig?
Same.
Yeah, when I get stuck on that way, I move on. Then my next one name, rotate it each and Wayne Wonder for some. Yeah, I want to feel about that one again.
That was a nostalgic track for me, because we didn't want to have that sound that, it always brings you back, in my opinion, like back to, the 90s for real, I enjoyed it. It was a nice touch on the album. I haven't heard Wayne Wonder in a minute. I was expecting a Wayne Wonder and Buju's album, but I was glad to see him on this album, and a nice collaboration too.
So for me, same. I enjoyed seeing Wayne Wonder. It's been a while. There are certain artists that Wayne Wonder worked with in the 90s and he made classic records. Of course, Buju Banton, Samart Myrie, Baby Sham, and of course, Spragga Benz. These are three, I would say, the artists that Wayne Wonder worked with a good deal in the 90s. It was nice to hear. I guess that would be the girls' record then.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely.
It's not, to me, it's not as good as their previous collaborations.
No, it's not.
But it was good.
It was the first.
It's a ode to the 90s again. I'm happy to see Wayne Wonder on the album. Same like you, Shane. We all were looking for him on the Buju project. Didn't happen. They can't work together forever. They did shows together on the Long Walk to Freedom tour. So it's good. Wayne has a nice voice. Good to hear him. Maybe we'll get some more stuff from him as well. Randy?
Yeah, so rotate it, featuring Wayne Wonder. Exactly some of the exact sentiments. When she ended that say, we must say, mechanic with it exactly, because that's exactly what how me did feel. She say nostalgia, me just say it has a 90s vibes and feel, a 90s dancehall vibes and feeling to it. The drum line in the track sounded so familiar. I was just like, yo, trying to figure out exactly which track. I couldn't necessarily connect with exactly which track it was, but it sounded like them remake a drum line for some other track that was done in the past, but they make it a little bit more tame now, so it's more easily accepted now in the current, right? But yeah, I just can't quite put my finger up on which track. But for me, this was okay. It wasn't bad. But same thing again, like Oliver said, I've heard them on tracks before where them basically slaughter it, like, oh, you see me? So it's like that. But for me, the reason why I accept this some people would say, yo, I want to give Spragga a pass, but you never give Buja a pass. The reason why I accept that this and what I hear so far is because in story of loss, like his son got killed or whatever. You see me? Like people can just imagine how devastating that is for a parent. You dig? In the opposite sense, not that me not feel some empathy for Buju and him situation, but while some might feel it was what I call it, entrapment or whatever the case they might want to describe it as, you know, some of it seems self-inflicted to me. So I'm still that is something else where we not necessarily discuss that right now. But you know, in this whole track, this body of work, it named The Journey Chosen by Spragga Benz. The entire album gave me the feeling like I actually felt emotion in the body of work. You know, and that is not really so easy for deliver, you know, because some artists just repeat and them emphasize words, but they don't know how to deliver emotions. And I felt the emotions in this entire body of work.
He opened up for real. He opened, and I think he finally let some of it out as therapy.
Yeah.
He hasn't done that to me before. Yeah. And well, he had that record for his son he did before with Stephen. Livification, I think it was called. Yeah, that was a good one.
Okay.
But I like the last record. It's something that I can like relate to. The whole Never Leave. He's touching on some deep topics and issues of what happened to the spirit or the soul after death.
Yeah.
And depending on what you believe. And I think it sounds as if he's for the most part, at this point, accepted it as best as he can. But I think what's good for him is he feels like his son is always there.
Right.
Whether it's through memory or just spiritual connection, he feels like his son is still there. And I can relate to that.
Yeah. We jumped over track number 10 when you take a look, but we are discussing Never Leave right now. Take a look.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's fine, Oliver. It's fine because guess what? I mean, you know about you, but me tell you, take a look for me. I felt like it could be done better. There was just
I thought they could have just left it off.
Yeah, that one didn't grab me.
It felt underproduced again. Underproduced.
I had said that to Shane earlier, that sometimes that bothers me with Spragga Benz recently. Like there's underproduction. I don't know if it's the studio or he's doing this on the road or he's in a hurry. I don't know.
Honestly, if like me can just imagine some notable producers, if it was them, it wouldn't have sounded like this. Right?
I mean,
and no, because I feel like the production, it would have been more refined. I just feel like this just needs more refinement.
I think this is the producer though that did Nobody Enough to Know, you know, for Cranium.
Okay.
So I have some records from what I checked, but I mean, I get what you're saying though. Some of it did seem a little, for lack of a better word, needed a little bit of creativity or inspiration then.
Right. Both creativity, inspiration.
They were a little flat.
Yeah.
They weren't creative to me. But maybe that's what Spragga also feels comfortable with. Or he wanted to give himself enough space on the record to let his emotions out. I don't know. But you might have a point there. But I think overall, I like the album. Compared to what he's done lately, it's a good album to me compared to the others. I'm glad to see him working again and seem to be focused on putting out music and controlling his own destiny. More artists need to keep recording like this, like him, putting out an album every year and building your brand again. You know, there's nothing wrong with that.
Shane, how you feel about Never Leave after the last track?
Yeah, Never Leave, very, very emotional track, because that connected for me as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, lost my mom, years ago. But, I share the sentiment that just listening to this track about, that feeling. You know what I mean? Like you never leave. And, I'm not in denial or nothing, but, it's just the energy. And, a perfect way to end the album actually, because when I was listening to it and it went into another song, I was like, what is this? But they actually moved on to another thing on the playlist, right? But perfect way to end the album, in my opinion. And I feel like, in a way, the album was probably dedicated to his son, in a sense, based on just the emotional.
Yeah, I feel that too.
Emotional aspect that was within the whole body the whole body of work as a whole. But a great track, and it speaks volumes, that one.
Yeah, I feel the same way. My feeling, just this track for me, it capped off the entire album. It gave me the feeling of like it does speak to me like this is like it's almost like cathartic or catharsis in a sense. Like Spragga Benz basically in my release in feelings and emotions in a true music right now. It's almost therapeutic for him right now because he actually get the opportunity now to release what is deep on his mind and what he's been going through. You know what I mean? Actually share and he must share it. You see me? Like emotions when they hold back and it repressed. This particular track did it for me. You see me? It's like he might come to terms with long-standing feelings when him have when him just probably did need all help with when him just him couldn't for some reason he couldn't let it out. A particular part in another song where he did say something about when him hear him own voice is like him hear him son voice. You see me? And then in my mind, it click back to cause sometime I don't know if it's happened to you, either of you guys. When me hear, for instance, there's two things. When I hear my father voice sometimes, it's like me hear a little inflection or sound of myself, or sometimes of one of my brothers. So it's like even sometimes when I hear myself talk, it's like you talk and you listen to yourself talk. Me I say, yo shit, I sound too much like my brother star. No, me not say that.
Yeah.
Me sound too much like XYZ, my brother. Me not say that. Me not use back that phrase. I'm gonna change my phrase. It's like I'm using the same. You understand what I'm saying? Like in mannerisms. Now me I look for myself in the mirror and I'm like, nah, my mannerisms too similar to him. I'm gonna change. You understand? So through that now it's like you kind of feel like that person is living through you. In Spragga Benz sense, his son passed away, and I'm sure there's been times when he might move certain way and him see himself in the mirror and he must say, oh shit. I saw him with that move, you know?
Yeah. And that is just like I have an aunt in Florida.
Yeah.
And the way my mother said my name, like when she calling me, like how she said Shane, whenever my aunt call me, it's this like it's the same sound, like the same way.
Flashback.
You know how she would say Shane.
Flashback.
You know, and it's just like a flashback every time. You know what I mean? So I definitely know what I mean.
Almost like deja vu. So people, that is the album. Again, I implore you and encourage everyone to go and check this out if you're dancehall fans or fans of Spragga Benz. It's called Journey Chosen. And myself, Oliver and Shane chose this one to review. And I want to hear your thoughts. Share your thoughts with us. Check in, like, comment, share, subscribe. Go around the bend and tell your friend, tell everybody about Reggaecy and our opinions on what we're trying to do here, right? I think that caps it off again. Now what's up next, Oliver?